Alright guys, so this isn't the first time I've shown this tractor in one of my videos, but I think it was about 5 years ago, almost to this day, that I uploaded a video of me doing the same thing with this same tractor. But this tractor is the tractor that got me into the garden tractor hobby. It sparked my interest in John Deere, and it has a lot of sentimental value to me. Some of you guys may remember from previous videos. So this is my uncle's 1986 John Deere 318. He bought this tractor brand new, and it was a replacement for his 316 Kohler that he had bought new when he started his landscaping business in the early 80s. One of his hired hands ran it out of oil one day when he was mowing and blew the engine up. So he took the 316 back to the dealer and he traded it in on this 318, as you can see here. Man, it's hard to keep this thing straight. Don't mind the curvy lines. But anyway, so he traded in his 316 on this 318 brand new, and 30-some years later, he still got it. This is probably one of the most reliable garden tractors on this planet. This tractor's been through the ringer. It's got over 4,000 hours on it, and that's not an exaggeration. Probably closer to like 42 or 4,300 hours at this point. But my uncle owns about 20 acres here, and he's a landscaper, so he's got a nursery in the back. And this tractor mows his lawn here, it mows the nursery, and it's done a couple other mowing jobs, like landscaping jobs, throughout the years. And he also uses it to mow his hunting trails way back in the woods, you know, in the wintertime when the grass goes dormant, just to keep the weeds down. So this tractor has seen a lot of use, and like I said, it's been through hell and back. Basically every one of my cousins in this family at some point has run this tractor. We've all cut our teeth on it. And like I said, this is the garden tractor that started my interest in John Deere. Ever since I was little, like a year or two old, I used to ride on my uncle's lap and mow with this thing. So my uncle's busy driving truck today, and he hasn't had much time to get his lawn mowed. And the grass is getting pretty tall here, as you can see. It's over a foot tall in a couple spots. He just hasn't had time to get to it, so I offered to mow it for him. And this is one of the reasons I didn't want to buy a 318 just yet, because I knew I'd had the opportunity to run this one every once in a while. I sold him my 85 318 a couple months ago. It's sitting in the shop behind me. He's got it pretty much set up and ready to go, but we're waiting on a set of lift straps. He needs another set of lift straps for the mower deck so he can run the mower deck on it. And then he's going to start putting that one to work. So now he's got two 318s. But up until last year, this tractor was the main workhorse around here. It's mainly a mowing tractor, but as you can see, it's got a 3-point hitch and a rear PTO. He ordered it new with the 3-point hitch. And then just last summer, we ended up putting a rear PTO on it when he decided he wanted to run a 3-point hitch tiller. So a friend of ours in Pennsylvania hooked us up with a 3-point tiller, a 48-inch mechanical tiller, and I hooked him up with a good, like new condition rear PTO kit from a Weekend Freedom Machines member. And so up until recently, this tractor was mainly just used for mowing and, you know, pulling things around the property, and now it's a tilling tractor since it's got the rear PTO. But like I said, this is mainly a mowing tractor. He mows the nursery and he mows his lawn here with it. But he's done a lot of other jobs with it throughout the years. He used to use it to push the sprint cars around at the racetracks when they were racing. For those of you who are into racing, you know that sprint cars have no transmission or starter. They have to be push started. And he used to have a custom-made, like a pusher bracket that would mount on the front of this 318, and he would use this tractor to push the sprint cars around and get them started. So that was kind of cool. So the 318 used to go with him to all the racetracks. He used to pull trailers around the yard with it, like when he used to have to, you know, move stuff around the yard. So he used to pull trailers with it. He has a custom built seeder that goes on the front. Then he's got some other attachments, like he's got an 80 cart with an easy back lawn vacuum system on it. And just some other things. He's built a lot of attachments for this tractor too. But this is a perfect example of a farmer-owned tractor. And you can see it's pretty rough around the edges. It's all dinged up, but it just keeps on ticking like a Swiss watch. This tractor's been through the ringer. It runs pretty good. I said this tractor has 4,200 hours on the frame and on the transmission, but the engine is not original. This tractor came with the Onan B43G engine when it was new, and that engine lasted about 2,000 hours, maybe a little bit more, and then sometime around 2000 or 2001, the engine finally quit. It just gave up the ghost. And at the time, that was before they had outlawed the opposed twin engines. The EPA outlawed them. So the John Deere dealer was still selling replacement Onan engines, or back then they were called Linamars. So that's what this tractor has in it. It's a Linamar LX770, which is basically just an Onan B218G with a different name on it. And these engines came with emissions carburetors, which were known to be a lot of trouble. So once the carburetor on this engine finally crapped out, we just bought a new Onan carburetor for it, and we've been tinkering with it here and there, trying to get it dialed in, and it seems to be running pretty good now. So in around 2000 or 2001, my uncle put this new engine in it, and it lasted about 15 years, and then at the beginning of last winter, so winter 2017, we rebuilt the engine because it was starting to get tired and it had a little bit of blow-by. So it's safe to say this tractor's got at least 4,000 hours on it, and it just keeps on running. This thing is super reliable. It's got a lot of wear and tear, as you can see, though. I mean, the hydrostatic linkage has a lot of slop in it. The steering has a ton of slop. I mean, as you can see, it's really hard to keep a straight line with this thing. You really got to hold the wheel with two hands. So it's not really a good thing that I'm trying to video and mow at the same time, but I mean, you can see how much slop is in the steering. So the power steering is going to need to be rebuilt. It's just, you know, it's rough around the edges. We've replaced a lot of parts on this tractor. The steering wheel's not original, the hood's not original, the grill's not original, the seat's not original. For as long as I can remember, this tractor had a broken hood and the grill was missing. And that's because when one of my cousins was real little, he was like 6 or 7 years old, this tractor was sitting in the barn back there one day, and he thought he was being cool. He started it up and ran it straight into the side of the dump truck, and it basically destroyed the hood and destroyed the grill. So for years, my uncle ran it without a grill, which is not really a good thing, but so that's how I remember the tractor. And then about 6 years ago, after I bought my T10 and started restoring it, my uncle was inspired to restore this thing, because he's had some, you know, he's had an attachment to this tractor too. This is probably one of the oldest pieces of equipment he owns. So I basically inspired him to restore this tractor. So I got him a good used hood off of eBay. We bought a new grill, new seat, and just a lot of other new parts, like new tail lights and a new headlight lens, which is already gone because he ran into something with it. And we got it looking basically like new again. And this tractor just does so much mowing. I mean, you can see how big the trees are around here. And he mows in the nursery rows too, which they're about 4-foot rows. They're only like 4 feet apart. So the tractor's always busting up against trees and stuff and getting scratched up. So it's basically impossible to keep this tractor clean and to keep the paint from getting scratched up. It's just inevitable. But truthfully, neither of us care about how it looks. We just care that it's fully functional. And my uncle's gotten good at fixing this tractor, so even though it's got a lot of wear and tear, he just keeps patching it and it just keeps on running. I'm going to try and make this a bit of a longer video since I don't get to run this tractor too often, and the last time I mowed with this tractor, I kind of made the video short. So this tractor now has a 50-inch mower deck. A friend of ours down the street hooked us up with a 50-inch deck. I'm not sure where he got it. I think he might have got it off a parts tractor, but it's in good shape. The bearings are all in good shape, and the spindles are free. It doesn't seem to have been used a whole lot. So he uses the 50-inch deck to mow the lawn, and then he uses the 46-inch deck to mow the nursery. These 50-inch decks are supposed to have a pretty good cut quality because they have a deeper shell. So they're like a high vacuum deck, a high airflow deck. But to be honest with you, I'm not too happy with how this thing cuts. You can see I've had to double cut a few of these passes here because when the grass gets really high, sometimes the blades just slip right over it. They don't really cut it. So I'm sure the blades probably have to be sharpened, but this deck just seems like it should have better airflow. I don't know. I've never really mowed with a 50-inch deck before. All the decks I've had were 46-inch decks. But yeah, this 50-inch deck mows the lawn, and then the 46-inch deck mows the nursery. And once we get those extra lift straps for the other 318, I think the 50-inch deck's going to go on that tractor. I'm trying to convince him not to use the other tractor to mow the nursery because it's got a really nice paint job, and I hate to see it get all scratched up. Go around the pool here. I call this tractor the war machine because, like I said in the past, it's been through everything. It's caught fire, it's rolled down a hill. My uncle got a little ambitious and he mowed a hill that was too steep, and it basically landed on its side. It broke the steering wheel. He flipped it back up on all fours and let it sit for a few minutes, and it started right back up, and he kept mowing with it. Talk about reliable. What else? Let's see. It ran into the dump truck like I told you before. My cousin did that. My other cousin ran it into the pool here one time. I think he just wasn't paying attention and he smacked it right into the pool. And it's been run into a couple trees before too. My cousins always used to mess around with this thing when they were younger. But, you know, 30-something years later, here it is. Still running. Gotta move this chair real quick. Classic farmer-owned tractor. All the safety switches are bypassed. The Linamar engine seems to be running pretty good. My uncle has a habit of mowing at half throttle, which is not something I recommend because it's not good for these air-cooled engines, especially the opposed twins. But, you know, he's stubborn. I'm not going to change his mind. So this tractor spent its life being run at half throttle most of the time. So I try and run it wide open whenever I get the chance to run it. That's how the engine stays cool. Extremely important on these old horizontal twins. Goes a long way, that's for sure. Yeah, I used to sit on my uncle's lap when I was a baby and ride on this tractor with him, like through the woods and stuff. So this is the tractor that started it all for me. So it's got some sentimental value, obviously. And my uncle actually said he's going to put it in his will so that I get it once he finally passes. So once I get a hold of this tractor, it's going to get a ground up restoration, and I'm never selling it. obviously that's not the original hour meter, but just to give you an idea, we put that hour meter on about 5 years ago when we restored this tractor. So, you know, 736 hours in 5 years. That just goes to show you how much this thing gets used. If you do the math, that comes out to a little bit over 4,000 hours in the 30-something years we've had this tractor. So, just goes to show you how much this thing gets used. And hey, it's still here running. I gotta say, I'm not too impressed with the cut quality of this 50-inch deck. I'm sure it'll help to sharpen the blades, but still. It seems like it should be turning a little bit faster too. It probably needs a speed up pulley. Sorry for the long video, guys. I just figured I'd tell you that little story, and this tractor has a lot of sentimental value to me, and I don't get to run it too often anymore. So, I figure every opportunity I get, I might as well make a video. If I get the chance to mow with the 85 318, I'll have to make a video of that too, because I never had the chance to mow with it when I had it. The mower deck that came with it was, it needed some work. Yeah. You can see I got the 210 in my grandfather's Cup Cadet there. I got to use the 210 on another lawn mowing job on the other side of town, so I'm headed up there after I get done here. My grandfather wanted me to use his little Cup Cadet, but that thing has an awful cut quality and it has a hard time going uphill, so I figure any chance to use the 318, I might as well take it. This is why 318s are my favorite garden tractor. They're just dead reliable. I have to keep going back and double cutting a lot of this stuff because the blades aren't too sharp, so they just keep slipping over top of all the weeds, as you can see. We're getting it done.